Welcome to EPCM Project Academy and our EPCM Insights Deep Dive.
If you're looking to master project controls, then today's deep dive is for you.
We're diving into AACEI's recommended practice 60R-10, and this is your blueprint.
This isn't just another dry document. Think of it as the DNA of successful project execution.
So we're going to break down the key components.
And give you those aha moments that can transform how you approach project control.
You know what's really fascinating about this RP?
It really emphasizes that the project controls plan
is like a roadmap for your entire project life cycle.
It's not just a checklist. It's like a living guide
on how to implement,
measure, and continuously fine-tune your project controls to get that optimal performance.
Okay, so it's about proactively managing the project, not just reacting to problems as they come up.
I've definitely been on projects where it felt like we were constantly putting out fires.
Exactly. And this RP highlights a crucial point. A solid project controls plan
reduces project delivery risks.
Oh, okay.
Think of it as a leading indicator of success, helping you avoid those fires in the first place.
Now the RP breaks down a truly effective project controls plan into 5 main sections.
Let's jump into that first one. General requirements.
General requirements.
Is all about laying a strong foundation.
Okay.
It's like setting the ground rules.
And making sure everyone is on the same page from the get-go.
So it's not just about what to do,
but how to do it and who's doing it.
Absolutely.
Okay.
It all starts with a mission statement.
Okay.
For your project control efforts.
And that mission statement sets the tone.
Defines your philosophy and clarifies how you'll approach project control. So imagine this.
This is what we believe in, and this is how we'll achieve project success together.
Having that shared understanding from the beginning
can make a huge difference.
I've seen projects go sideways because teams weren't aligned on the basics.
Right, and that's where the delegation of authority guideline comes in.
It clarifies who's making decisions.
And who's accountable for making sure the plan is actually implemented.
So you need to know who's calling the shots to avoid confusion.
And delays.
Exactly. It's like establishing
clear lines of responsibility.
Right.
That way, everyone knows who to go to for decisions and approvals.
And then there's the compliance section.
Right.
This outlines the rules and procedures everyone needs to follow
to ensure the project controls plan
is being used effectively.
What's the point of having a plan if no one's following it?
Because what's the point of a plan if no one is following it, right?
It's like having a safety manual that everyone just ignores.
Right.
Eventually, something's going to go wrong.
Exactly. And then there's revision control.
Okay.
This is all about keeping your plan a living document, updating it as the project evolves.
Okay.
Because projects are dynamic, things change.
Your plan needs to adapt.
I've definitely seen project control plans that get filed away and forgotten.
You know, they become completely irrelevant.
Because they're not updated to reflect the current reality.
Exactly. You need that flexibility to adjust as you go.
Okay.
And finally, there's the section on the organization for project control.
This defines the structure of your project controls team.
And how they'll work together, including roles, responsibilities, and even organizational charts.
So it's about making sure everyone is working in sync.
It's about making sure everyone's working in sync.
Like assembling a well-oiled machine where each part knows its function.
And contributes to the overall performance.
Precisely.
The general requirements section really does set the stage for the entire project controls plan.
Okay.
It's the groundwork that everything else is built on.
Okay, so we've got the foundation in place.
Now let's move on to the second section, functional applications of project controls.
This is where we get into the nitty-gritty of how project controls are actually applied.
Throughout the project lifecycle, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
And this section is built around the PDCA cycle, which is plan, do, check, act, which ensures continuous improvement in your project controls.
Okay.
And the RP dives deep
into how this cycle applies to each phase of your project.
I'm a big fan of the PDCA cycle.
It's a simple but powerful framework.
For continuous improvement, really in any context.
Exactly.
So let's start with the plan phase.
Okay.
Project planning.
And this is where you define the scope.
Create your work breakdown structure, develop your schedule, and cost plan.
And identify those potential risks.
Okay.
It's like building the roadmap for your project.
So this sounds like the meat of the project controls plan.
It is.
And the RP breaks it down into several key elements.
First, you have project scope and execution strategy development.
Okay.
This is where you define the boundaries of your project and figure out the best approach for delivering it.
Are you going with a standard, aggressive, or fast-track approach?
What's your contracting strategy? self-performing, prime contractor, or multiple contracts
These are all critical decisions.
that need to be made up front.
It's about setting realistic expectations.
And having a clear vision for how the project will unfold.
Right. And then you move on to control account development.
Think of control accounts as the building blocks of your project control system.
Okay.
And they allow you to track costs, schedule, resources, and risks at a granular level.
Breaking down the project into manageable chunks.
So it's like zooming in from the big picture.
To the individual components of the project.
That way, you can monitor progress and identify potential problems.
At a more detailed level.
Exactly. And the RP stresses the importance of integrating all those project control components within each control account: cost, schedule, resources, risk, and procurement.
It's a holistic approach to project control.
So it's not just about cost control.
It's about controlling all aspects of the project.
In a coordinated way.
That's right.
Next comes schedule and cost planning.
Which, the RP emphasizes, are iterative and concurrent processes.
Okay.
You can't develop a schedule without considering costs,
Right.
and vice versa.
Yeah.
They need to be developed together in a constant feedback loop, creating a realistic and integrated plan that takes both time and money into account.
I've seen projects where the schedule and cost plan were developed in silos.
And it always leads to problems down the line.
Absolutely. And the RP dives deeper into each of these areas.
Okay.
For schedule planning and development, it highlights the importance of defining the level of detail required for the schedule.
It needs to be detailed enough to show the impact of changes on activity sequences and to accurately accrue costs.
Based on that budget.
So it's about finding the right balance.
Between a high-level overview and a granular breakdown of tasks.
Exactly. For cost estimating and budgeting.
The RP emphasizes the importance of establishing a clear methodology
Okay.
for determining the effort required,
Mm-hmm.
for the scope of work, and creating a realistic project budget.
And this is where having a solid basis of estimate is crucial.
You need to be able to justify your cost estimates.
And ensure their accuracy.
Absolutely.
The RP recommends using a standard hierarchy for your cost estimates,
Okay.
breaking them down into direct costs, things like labor, materials, and equipment.
Indirect costs,
Uh-huh.
like taxes and risk contingencies and overhead.
Like escalation and financing costs,
So it's about categorizing your costs to get a clear picture.
of where the money is going and where potential risks might lie.
Exactly.
And it's also important to consider how revenue will be managed and communicated,
Okay.
especially in different contract types.
Like lump sum, cost plus, or unit pricing.
You need to understand how your costs relate to your revenue
Uh-huh.
to ensure project profitability.
That's a great point.
Sometimes the focus is so much on controlling costs.
That we forget about the revenue side of the equation.
Right.
Now let's talk about resource planning.
This is all about making sure you have the right people and equipment available
Okay.
at the right time to execute the project effectively.
This is where things can get really tricky.
Especially on large projects with multiple stakeholders,
And complex schedules.
it can be like solving a giant logistical puzzle.
Right.
And the RP highlights the importance of labor management planning
Which involves creating time-phased usage profiles.
and histograms to track labor hours and costs.
Okay.
You're essentially forecasting your labor needs
Uh-huh.
based on the project schedule and making sure you have the right skills and expertise available when you need them.
It's about having the right people in the right place.
At the right time.
And the same goes for equipment.
Absolutely.
Equipment management planning
Okay.
is just as crucial.
You need to make sure you have the necessary equipment available.
When and where it's needed.
Okay.
Taking into account things like lead times, availability, and maintenance schedules.
So this all ties back to the integrated approach.
That the RP emphasizes, right?
Exactly. You can't plan your schedule without considering resources.
Right.
You can't plan your resources without considering costs. It's all interconnected.
Okay.
And that interconnectedness continues as we look at the final two elements of project planning.
Procurement planning
Okay.
and value analysis and engineering.
Let's start with procurement planning.
I know from experience that procurement can be a major source of delays and cost overruns.
If it's not managed effectively.
Absolutely.
Procurement planning is all about ensuring that the resources you need for the project
Especially materials and equipment.
are acquired in a timely and cost-effective manner.
Okay.
It involves developing a clear procurement plan.
That outlines how materials and equipment will be purchased, delivered, and managed on-site.
Okay.
You're thinking about that entire supply chain.
From procurement to delivery to on-site logistics.
So it's not just about getting the best price.
It's about managing the entire procurement process.
To ensure that it aligns with the project schedule and budget?
Exactly. And the procurement plan needs to be closely integrated with the overall project controls plan.
Because procurement delays can have a significant impact on the project timeline and bottom line.
Now let's talk about value analysis and engineering.
Yep.
Value analysis and engineering.
Or VAVE.
Okay.
Is all about maximizing the value of the project while minimizing costs.
It's about challenging assumptions and looking for creative ways to improve the project without sacrificing quality or functionality.
Well, it's about working smarter, not harder.
That's a good way to put it.
The RP encourages using VAVE techniques throughout the project lifecycle.
To identify opportunities for improvement.
Okay.
And some common techniques include functional analysis.
Brainstorming and life cycle cost analysis.
And you're essentially asking, is there a better way to do this?
I imagine this can be especially valuable in the early stages of a project.
When there's more flexibility to make changes.
Absolutely.
And the RP highlights the importance of documenting the decisions and outputs of the VAV process.
Okay.
So that the benefits can be tracked and measured.
You need to be able to demonstrate the value that VAVE is bringing to the project.
So project planning is a pretty comprehensive process.
It is.
It covers everything from scope definition to procurement to value analysis.
And the RP emphasizes that all of these planning activities
need to be integrated and coordinated to create a cohesive plan.
And this integrated plan
is based on the PDCA cycle,
which ensures continuous improvement throughout the project lifecycle.
Right. Now we're moving into the third section of the RP,
Okay.
which focuses on systems and data integrity.
In my experience, this is an area where projects can really stumble.
We've all seen the chaos that can ensue when data is inaccurate, inconsistent, or inaccessible.
You're absolutely right.
System and data integrity is the unsung hero
of successful project control.
It's all about ensuring that your data is accurate, reliable, and easily accessible to everyone who needs it.
Without that solid foundation,
project controls plan
is basically built on quicksand.
So how does the RP guide us in establishing this crucial foundation?
It starts by acknowledging that project controls rely heavily
on various systems, scheduling software, cost processors, material management systems. You know, it's a whole ecosystem of tools and data.
It's like having a toolbox full of specialized instruments.
But if those tools aren't calibrated correctly,
or if they don't work together seamlessly,
they're not going to be very useful.
Exactly.
And that's why the RP emphasizes the importance of understanding how these systems interact. And how data is transferred between them.
You need to ensure that your systems are talking to each other.
And that data is flowing smoothly throughout the project lifecycle.
So we're talking about integration.
Not just within the project controls plan itself.
But also between the various systems and tools
that support it.
Precisely.
And a key aspect of this integration is data mapping. This involves defining the relationships between coding structures used in different systems.
Things like work breakdown structures, organization breakdown structure,
cost breakdown structure.
Right.
You know, it's about creating a common language for your data.
So that it can be easily shared and analyzed.
Across different platforms.
So we're eliminating those frustrating moments.
Where you're trying to compare data from different systems.
And it's like trying to fit square pegs into round holes.
Exactly.
Data mapping helps ensure that everyone is speaking the same language.
And that we're all working from the same set of accurate and consistent information.
And once those coding structures are established,
it's important to freeze them.
Right. Absolutely.
Consistency is key when it comes to data integrity.
Changing coding structures mid-project can introduce errors.
Right.
And make it difficult to track progress accurately.
Beyond systems integration.
The RP also addresses the issue of data integrity and backup.
We're talking about protecting our valuable project data.
From loss, corruption, or unauthorized access, right?
That's right.
The RP recommends developing a clear plan.
That outlines who is responsible for backing up data. What data needs to be backed up.
How often backup should occur.
And where the backup data will be stored.
It's like having an insurance policy.
For your data.
Exactly.
You hope you never have to use it.
Right.
But it's essential to have that safety net in place.
And in today's world, where cybersecurity threats are constantly evolving,
it's more important than ever to have robust data backup.
And security measures in place.
We need to protect our project data from both accidental loss
and malicious attacks.
Absolutely.
Now, shifting gears a bit.
The fourth section of the RP focuses on the communications plan
And I think we can all agree that communication is the lifeblood.
of any successful project,
But it's especially critical in project controls.
where we're dealing with complex data
Multiple stakeholders.
and constantly evolving plans.
You're absolutely right.
Even the most brilliant project controls plan,
It's useless if it's not communicated effectively.
right,
The communications plan is all about ensuring that information
flows smoothly and accurately
throughout the project team.
and to all relevant stakeholders,
So it's about keeping everyone informed.
aligned and engaged.
But what specific elements does the RP highlight?
When it comes to developing an effective communications plan.
It breaks it down into 3 key areas:
Okay.
meeting requirements, reporting, and frequencies.
And file structures.
Oh.
Starting with meeting requirements.
The RP recommends establishing a clear schedule for project meetings.
Including the frequency, purpose, and attendees.
Of each meeting.
It's about creating a structured framework for communication and collaboration,
Okay.
ensuring that everyone knows when and where to come together
To discuss key issues.
and make decisions.
So it's not just about having meetings for the sake of having meetings.
It's about making sure those meetings are productive
Purposeful.
and aligned with the overall project control strategy.
Exactly.
And the RP even provides an example of a typical meeting schedule,
Oh, okay.
which includes project team meetings,
Yeah.
technical steering team meetings,
Mm-hmm.
and various status update meetings,
This can serve as a helpful starting point
which can then be adapted.
to the specific needs of each project.
Now, moving on to reporting and frequencies.
Okay.
This is about defining what information needs to be reported.
How often it needs to be reported and who needs to receive the reports.
Okay.
We're talking about creating a system
For disseminating project information.
in a clear, concise, and consistent way, right? That's exactly right.
And the RP stresses the importance of developing a reporting matrix
Okay.
that clearly outlines all of these details.
Who needs what information?
When do they need it?
What format should it be in?
The reporting matrix provides a roadmap,
For ensuring that everyone has access to the information they need
right?
to make informed decisions
Wow.
and keep the project on track.
It's about eliminating information silos
And making sure everyone has a shared understanding of project progress.
and performance
Precise.
and the reports themselves.
Should be tailored to the needs of the audience.
Ah.
Providing a clear and concise overview.
Of the most relevant information,
Okay.
they should highlight any variances,
Or issues that need attention.
and they should be presented in a way.
That is easy to understand and act upon.
So it's not about overwhelming people with data.
It's about providing them with the insights.
They need to make effective decisions.
Absolutely.
And finally, the RP addresses the issue of file structures.
Okay.
Now, this might seem like a minor detail
But it's actually crucial.
for maintaining data integrity
Okay.
and ensuring that information is easily accessible.
I've definitely experienced the frustration of searching for a specific document
Or piece of data,
and not being able to find it,
or finding multiple versions of the same document.
and not knowing which one is the most up-to-date.
That's a common problem.
And it can really hinder project progress.
The RP recommends creating a file index structure
Okay.
that defines how documents are stored and organized.
Whether they're physical or electronic,
It's like creating a library for your project information.
with clear labeling and categorization,
Right.
so that everyone knows where to find what they need.
So it's about creating a system
That makes it easy for anyone to find the information they need.
when they need it.
Exactly.
And the file index structure should include a dictionary
Okay.
that explains the naming conventions and folder structures used.
This ensures consistency
Right.
and makes it easy for new team members.
Get up to speed quickly,
So the communications plan is all about ensuring that information flows
smoothly and effectively.
throughout the project team and stakeholders,
It's about keeping everyone informed
aligned,
and engaged.
which is essential for project success.
Absolutely.
Now let's move on to the 5th section of the RP.
Which focuses on project controls deliverables.
Okay. This section is all about the tangible outputs that we should expect from our project controls system, right?
Right. The documents, reports, and other artifacts that provide evidence of our planning, our analysis, and our decision-making.
Exactly. The RP provides a comprehensive table. It lists various deliverables across different areas of project controls.
Okay.
And these deliverables serve as a record of decisions made, actions taken, and the performance achieved.
Oh.
They're essential for transparency and accountability.
Right.
And they provide valuable insights that can be used to improve future projects.
So what are some examples of these deliverables?
Well, in the area of pre-planning and preparedness, you might have deliverables like a project controls service agreement, a preparedness index, and a kickoff meeting agenda.
Okay.
These deliverables set the stage for effective project control right from the very beginning.
And then, as we move into the planning and budgeting phase, we would expect to see deliverables like the estimate itself, the basis of estimate document, risk reports, and budget contingency reports.
Exactly. These deliverables provide a detailed breakdown of the project's scope, costs, and risks, and they form the foundation for effective monitoring and control.
And as the project progresses, we would see deliverables related to scheduling, risk management, change management, and reporting.
Right. Deliverables like the project schedule, risk register, change log, and performance reports, these provide a clear picture of project progress and performance, and they allow us to identify and address any issues that arise.
So the project control deliverable section is really about documenting the entire project controls process, from planning to execution to closeout.
Exactly. These deliverables provide a roadmap for effective project control, and they serve as a valuable resource for learning and improvement.
Now, having explored the first 5 sections of the RP, we're ready to move on to the 6th and final section, Project Controls Plan Implementation.
This is where we take all of the planning and preparation we've done and put it into action.
Okay.
It's about making sure that the project controls plan is not just a document sitting on a shelf, but a living, breathing tool that is actively used to manage and control the project.
So it's about bridging that gap between theory and practice.
Right.
Taking all of those great ideas and principles and turning them into concrete actions and results.
Exactly. And the RP provides clear guidance on how to effectively implement the project controls plan and ensure that it achieves its intended outcomes.
Okay.
It starts by emphasizing the importance of review and validation.
Right.
Before we even think about implementing the plan, we need to make sure that it's comprehensive, consistent, and aligned with the project objectives and requirements.
So we're taking a step back and doing a thorough quality check to make sure we're on the right track.
Absolutely. And the RP suggests involving the entire project team in the review process.
Okay.
This not only helps to ensure that the plan is robust and well considered, but it also fosters a sense of ownership and accountability among the team.
It's about getting everyone on board and making sure they understand their roles and responsibilities in implementing the plan.
Exactly. And once the plan has been reviewed and validated, we move on to communicating the project controls plan.
Well,
This is about making sure that everyone involved in the project understands the plan, how it will be implemented, and what their role is in the process.
communication is key. We need to make sure that the plan is clear, concise, and easily accessible to everyone who needs it. And we need to use a variety of communication methods to reach different audiences.
Absolutely. The RP stresses the importance of using clear and consistent communication, leveraging meetings, presentations, written documentation, and other channels to keep everyone informed and engaged.
Now, once everyone understands the plan, we need to make sure they have the skills and knowledge they need to implement it effectively. That's where training comes in, right?
Exactly. Training is an essential component of successful project controls plan implementation.
Okay.
The RP recommends developing a training plan that covers all aspects of the project control system,
Okay.
from the underlying principles to the specific tools and techniques used.
So we're investing in our team's ability to use the plan effectively and to make informed decisions based on the data and insights it provides.
Right. And finally, we need to make sure that the plan is actually being followed and that it's achieving the desired results.
Okay.
That's where audits come in.
Audits are essential for ensuring accountability and identifying areas for improvement. They provide an objective assessment of how well the plan is being implemented and whether it's delivering the expected benefits.
Absolutely. The RP recommends conducting regular audits to assess compliance with the plan and to identify any areas where adjustments or improvements are needed.
Right.
And these audits should be conducted by qualified individuals who are independent of the project team.
So we're bringing in an outside perspective to make sure we're being objective and rigorous in our assessment.
Exactly. And the audit findings should be used to refine the plan and to improve its effectiveness over time.
So project controls plan implementation is an ongoing process.
Yeah.
It involves review, communication, training, and audits. It's about making sure that the plan is a living document that is actively used to manage and control the project,
Right.
and that it's continuously evolving to meet the changing needs of the project.
That's right. It's not a one-time event, but an ongoing cycle of planning, implementation, assessment, and improvement.
And the RP provides valuable guidance on how to effectively navigate this cycle and to ensure that your project controls plan delivers real value.
Now, I think we've done a pretty thorough job of exploring AACE RP60R-10.
We have.
We've delved into its 6 sections and uncovered a wealth of valuable insights and guidance for effective project control.
We've discussed the importance of planning, measuring, assessing, communicating, implementing, and auditing.
And we've highlighted the RP's emphasis on integration, collaboration, and continuous improvement.
It's been a comprehensive journey through the world of project controls.
It has.
And I hope our listeners have gained some valuable knowledge and actionable strategies that they can apply to their own projects.
I'm sure they have. This RP is a treasure trove of information for anyone involved in project controls, regardless of their experience level.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Now, as we wrap up our deep dive, I want to leave our listeners with one key takeaway to remember.
What's that?
A project controls plan is more than just a document. It's a roadmap for success, a guide for navigating the complexities of the project lifecycle. It's the foundation for effective decision-making, risk management, and performance optimization. Now, I know we've covered a lot of information today, and it can be a bit overwhelming to absorb it all at once. So I want to encourage our listeners to revisit the RP and explore it in more depth on their own time. And remember, the RP is a living document that should be adapted to the specific needs of each project. And don't be afraid to experiment and try new approaches. The key is to find what works best for you and your team. Well, I think we've covered a lot of ground today, and I hope our listeners have found it valuable.
I'm sure they have. This RP is truly a goldmine of information and practical guidance for anyone involved in project controls.
Now, before we sign off, I want to remind our listeners to share this episode with their colleagues and subscribe to EPCM Project Academy for more insightful deep dives. Until next time, keep those projects on track and stay tuned for more valuable EPCM insights.